You know, deep inside our cells, in those tiny powerhouses we all learned about back in biology class, there's a secret weapon. Seriously, a hidden message that could hold one of the keys to a longer and way healthier life. Today, we're going to unlock the story of the mitochondria's secret weapon against aging.
But let's just start with a big question. What if a single molecule, one that's produced naturally inside your own body, could not just slow down but actually reverse the physical decline that comes with getting older? I know, it sounds like science fiction, right? But the science here is very, very real.
So where does this incredible molecule even come from? Well, the story starts with our mitochondria. For decades, we really just thought of them as simple energy factories. But it turns out they're also sending out these secret messages that pretty much control how our entire body functions.
These messages are called mitochondrial-derived peptides, or MDPs for short. And you can think of them like tiny biological text messages sent from our mitochondria out to the rest of the body. They're a whole class of molecules that were discovered pretty recently, and they coordinate a huge range of our bodily functions.
And one of the most exciting of these messengers is a peptide called MOTS-c. Now, the easiest way to think about what MOTS-c does is to picture it as your body's own personal cellular fitness coach. It's literally telling your cells how to respond to stress and how to manage energy, just like a good coach would.
So here's the crucial point. When we exercise, our body naturally produces more of this MOTS-c peptide. It's a huge part of the reason exercise is so good for us. But here's the catch, the big challenge. As we age, our natural expression of MOTS-c goes down. We lose access to our own internal fitness coach right when we need it most.
And that leads to a really fascinating scientific question. If we lose MOTS-c as we get older, what would happen if we just put it back? Could we actually turn back the clock on physical decline? Well, researchers set out to answer that exact question.
So the central question of this groundbreaking 2021 study was super simple and direct. What happens if you give supplemental MOTS-c to old mice? Mice whose natural levels have already dropped. The results were, well, they were nothing short of astonishing.
The first result is it's almost hard to believe. They took old mice, we're talking the human equivalent of being in your late 60s or 70s, and treated them with MOTS-c for just 2 weeks. Their performance on a treadmill test doubled. They ran twice as long and twice as far as the other old mice.
And it wasn't just about endurance, we're talking peak power too. A full 17% of the old, treated mice were able to hit the treadmill's final highest speed, a full-on sprint. And in the untreated group, 0. Not a single one could do it. But okay, this right here is the most remarkable finding of all. The researchers didn't just compare the treated old mice to other old mice. They compared them to a group of younger, middle-aged mice. And incredibly, the treated old mice actually outperformed the untreated middle-aged ones. This wasn't just slowing down aging, this was a complete reversal of physical decline.
And the benefits went way beyond just running. This treatment in their late life improved their whole physical health span. Their grip strength got better, their gait was steadier, their walking ability improved, and on a molecular level, the signals that lead to muscle wasting were way down. It was like a systemic upgrade to their physical health.
So we've seen what happens when MOTS-c is given as a therapy, but how does it work naturally? Well, the answer brings us right back to something we all know and maybe love, exercise.
In As Humans, MOTS-c is what's known as an exerkine. It's a clever mashup of exercise and cytokine. Basically, it's a hormone-like molecule that our muscles release into our bloodstream during physical activity, and its job is to coordinate all the positive metabolic effects of that exercise throughout the body.
So how does our cellular fitness coach actually get the job done? Well, when MOTS-c gets into our circulation, it's like a key that turns on the body's master metabolic switch, a regulator called AMPK. This tells our body to become more metabolically flexible, which is just a fancy way of saying it gets much better at switching between burning carbs and fat for fuel. And the end result is exactly what we saw in those mice, enhanced physical capacity and just better overall metabolic health.
But like with most things in biology, the story isn't quite that simple for absolutely everyone. There's a genetic twist that actually changes how effective this cellular fitness coach can be.
So it turns out there's a common genetic variation in the mitochondrial DNA, which is especially common in people of East Asian descent. And this single change in the genetic code creates a slightly different version of the MOTS-c peptide.
And yeah, this change really matters. A 2001 study looked at a big group of Japanese men, and what they found was
was pretty stark. Among the guys who were sedentary, the ones carrying the altered version of MOTS-c had a significantly higher risk of developing type 2 diabetes. We're talking 18.5% compared to just 11.2% for those with the normal version.
But here is the most important part of that finding. That increased genetic risk, it completely vanishes in men who are physically active. This is just a powerful, powerful demonstration that lifestyle, in this case exercise, can totally overcome a genetic predisposition. Exercise basically overrides the less effective version of the peptide.
So why does this genetic variant increase risk in the first place? Well, the researchers themselves say that this altered form of MOTS-c is partially bioactive, which means, simply, it just doesn't work as well. It's a less effective cellular fitness coach, sending a much weaker signal than the original version.
And this brings us to the future. We've got these two parallel stories, the incredible potential of MOTS-c as a therapy to reverse aging and the amazing power of exercise to boost our own natural levels and even overcome genetic hurdles. So what does this all mean for the future of our health?
The potential here is just immense. Researchers are now exploring MOTS-c as a therapy that could directly fight the physical decline of aging, improve heart health, slash inflammation, and maybe even help prevent age-related bone loss. Altogether, it represents a powerful new tool in the quest for healthier aging.
Which leaves us with a final and really fascinating question to think about. This science shows us two paths forward, one where we might be able to restore youthful vitality through a therapy, and another where we can unlock it ourselves through good old-fashioned physical effort. So is the future of health in a syringe, or is it on the treadmill? The answer might just be both.